Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto and Ino get arranged married? Part 2, so let's start the video. It has been 3 weeks since they had become genins. Kakashi surprisingly had decided to teach them a little more. He had made them all learn tree climbing where they could do it for an hour without stopping, and had even touched them a little to jutsu. Ninjutsu he had not taught anything, but he said he would. He was still 3 hours late. So far Team 7 has done 26 D-rank missions. Kakashi has also been getting to know Naruto by stopping by and dropping off fruit and also helping Naruto with his shopping problems twice a week. Naruto would give him money and a list, and Kakashi would deliver it himself for Naruto since he can't get it himself. Surprisingly, it was not mostly ramen. He actually got vegetables, some meat, fish, bread, and a few other items. Kakashi offered to teach Naruto Chidori, but Naruto said that is a headache and I am a wind user with a little earth and water. Lightning is my major weakness. Fire is good when I use wind to add to it. Ino and Sakura had both become friends again, but Ino kept hers and Naruto's secret and just said they were dating. The third laughed after Team 10 had to bring Tora for the first time. The cat actually bowed to Ino. Ino and Naruto met every other day after team practice for 2 hours. Her parents still made her work at her family flower shop. People tried to say they would quit doing business with them if Ino did not break up, but after getting a surprise visit from Abnu or having a bunch of cats dragging dead birds and fish to people's homes they stopped. That, and they were the only flower shop in town so they could not go elsewhere. It also helped the Ino Shikacho family make it clear they were not going to tolerate Naruto being abused anymore, and would defend him or any friend's family he might have in the future. The council back off of trying to get Naruto in trouble with 3 major clans backing him now. Naruto and Ino both had chakra weights on, and Naruto was close to 1,000 pounds, while Ino was close to 400 pounds. Naruto also picked up some blank scrolls, and a standard Abnu katana he was trying to learn. Their teams for the most part just left them alone when they were training. Sasuke would often hide in trees watching them trying to learn where they were getting their strength from. However, he mysteriously keeps getting attacked by stray cats and a few foxes that always come out whenever Ino and Naruto are training. His biggest enemy was Tora, the Fire Lord's cat, which he can't kill because a $10,000 bounty was put on the head of anyone who harmed the cat. Naruto and Ino both summoned one of their lower summons and explained to them how they were summoned. Both cats and foxes bowed to their respective new bosses. Team 7 was standing in front of the Hokage after returning Tora to her owner. Sasuke was shooting the cat death glares, and his hand was twitching, as he was trying not to pull out a kunai for it keeps scratching and attacking him. The third said, Team 7, your next mission is a C-rank mission. Iruka, who was standing next to him, said, sorry to interrupt Hokage-sama, but do you think it is wise to send them out on a C-rank already? I don't know if they are ready. The third said, Iruka, I understand your concern, but I feel Team 7 is ready for this. Iruka nodded and stayed silent. The third said, send him in. And a drunk old man walked in. The man looked at Team 7 and said, this is what I paid for. A dark-haired boy with a nervous twitch, a pink-haired girl who looks like a strong wind would blow her over, and a boy with a sword who looks like he can't even hold it. I am the master bridge builder Tarzana, and I need bodyguards to protect me until I finish my bridge. Naruto said, we are ninjas, sir. We are masters of deception, and we are more skilled than we appear. You can relax. Our team will make sure to do our duty and make sure you can finish your bridge. Also, our sensei will be along to help protect you. Tarzana sighed and said, very well, I don't have a choice anyways. Meet me in 2 hours at the west gates. And he left the office. The third looked at Naruto and said, Naruto, that was nicely handled, but remember to look out for your teammates. Naruto said, don't worry, old man. Everything will work out. The third nodded, and Kakashi followed his team out after catching the look from the Hokage that said keep them safe. Naruto quickly grabbed his scrolls he had pre-packed with camping and non-perishable food supplies, as well as 1 scroll of extra weapons. He smiled when he thought, man, am I glad Iro-san taught me how to do sealing. Naruto quickly wrote a note and locked his place up. He did not have to worry about intruders much now since he put seals on all his windows and doors. Only people Naruto trusted could get in. Iruka told Kakashi that the Hokage did it for Naruto. Naruto quickly ran to the Yamenko flower shop and entered. Ino's mom Sarah was at the counter. Nobody was at the shop since it was already afternoon. Naruto walked up and said, hi Mrs. Yamenko. Is Ino home yet? Sarah said, no, not yet. Naruto, can I help you with anything? Naruto said, yeah, I got an out-of-town mission starting shortly, and I would like you to give this letter to Ino for me. Sarah nodded and said, sure. Be safe or Ino will kill you. Bye. Naruto waved bye as he left the shop and went to meet his team and the client. When Naruto arrived at the west gate, Sakura and Sasuke were already there, but the client and Kakashi had not arrived. Sasuke saw Naruto did not have a pack like him and Sakura and decided to make fun of him. Sasuke said, hey dope, where's your stuff, or are you too stupid to being anything? Sakura, who had her best friend again and was getting to actually know Naruto a little better. Sakura could not believe Sasuke was being such an ass, but Naruto said to Sasuke, I don't have to carry a big pack to carry all my stuff. I use summon scrolls to carry everything I need. Sasuke said, you're right. You don't know anything, idiot. Quit trying to make yourself look good. Naruto sighed and said to Sakura, how would you like to have all of your stuff in a summon scroll, so you don't have to carry that heavy pack? Sakura smiled and said, sure, I would love to. Naruto pulled out a blank scroll from his pouch and quickly made a few seals on it and said, okay Sakura, put your backpack on the scroll and channel chakra into the seal on it. Sakura did, and her pack disappeared. Naruto then said to Sakura, I need you to cut your finger just enough to bleed a little, so that you are the only person who can open your scroll. When you get blood, just drop it on the seal. First blood on the seal is the only person who can use the seal. Got it. Sakura did what Naruto said, and after that he handed it to her, and said just wipe a little blood on the seal, and channel chakra into it, and it will unseal. Oh look, here's, and a client. Kakashi woke up, and noticed two of his students seemed happy, and ready, and the other one had that nervous twitch again in his eyebrows. Kakashi sighed, as they started to leave the Leaf Village. An Abnu appeared with a tiger mask. The Abnu walked to Kakashi, and said, as he handed Kakashi a scroll proof for the proposal if you meet them. He said you would know who. And then left as a swirl of leaves. Team 7 continued their mission. Ino had just returned home, which is above her family flower shop, from her team training. Ino walked in, and said, Mom, Dad, I'm home. Do you need anything before I go see Naruto? Sarah said, Ino dear. I am sorry, but Naruto had an out-of-town mission, and said to give you this note. As she handed it to Ino. Ino-chan. Sorry for missing you, but I had the wave mission I told you about come up. I wanted to tell you personally, but I did not know where to find you. I love you, and can't wait to see you again. Take care of yourself, my little kitten. See you soon. Yours. Ino blushed as she read it. She could not be more happy to have such a great person in her life. Ino quickly put the letter away later, and kept it safe. Ino sighed, and said, Mom, you need any help around the shop today? Sarah said, yeah, you father, and I would like to go out, and eat alone tonight if that's okay with you. Ino said, yeah, you can't live forever now, can you? Sarah said, don't talk to your mother like that, young lady. I can still bend you over my knees. Ino laughed, and said, yeah, but are you sure your arthritis doesn't act up? Inoichi was laughing at the little bickering, and said, now ladies, I don't want a catfight in here, so retract your claws or I might give you a flea bath, and someone might have a heart attack in her old age also. Ino looked at her mom, as Sarah started to crack her knuckles. Sarah said, Ino has been kind enough to teach me some special moves for male jerks. Inoichi started backing up, and Ino appeared in front of him. He then heard, never let an angry woman who you insulted get behind you, dear. 1,000,000 years of broomstick. As a broomstick was shoved up his butt. Inoichi screamed, as he flew out the door that a customer had just opened to come in. He started running toward the hospital with the broomstick stick waving, as he ran. The customer, who was a retired female ninja in her 30s named Aya, who is a friend of the family, and a repeat customer, said, you know Sonata created a version of that, and started teaching it to all female ninja. Do they still teach that to young ladies? Ino said, not that I know of. A friend of mine told me about it. I think it's good to learn from husbands, perverts, and future husbands who look at other women or piss you off. The three women laughed about that. At Konoha Hospital at that very moment. The doctor said, now hold very still, Mr. Yumenko. If you move you might get splinters from this broom handle, and we will have to do surgery on your rectum. As the doctor started removing the broomstick, Inoichi sneezed. After that he was thinking, this is the last time I will joke about my wife's age or my daughter's being a cat demon. It's a real pain in the ass. On the road to Wave Country. The two demon brothers had just cut Kakashi's replacement, and Naruto was throwing a kunai to pin their chains to a tree, but he sneezed, and Mr. hit how you look at it. Those who looked over at his brother Mizu, and screamed, how can you do that to a man, you monster? You made him a female. Naruto said, it's not my fault I sneeze, and caused me to miss. Those ran to his brother, and stabbed him in the head, and said, this is all I can do for you, brother. No man should suffer that fate. He then drew a charge at Naruto, who started to defend himself, and after 5 minutes grabbed Gozu, and threw him at Sasuke, who was not expecting it, and caught Gozu on reflex, but not before receiving a knee to the family jewels for his trouble. Then Sakura appeared, and beat the hell out of Gozu. Tazana had one hand guarding his manhood, and the other on his sake bottle, thinking I would be better off with Gato. Kakashi, who had hidden in a tree, sneezed at almost the exact moment, and fell out of his tree, and landed on his head, knocking himself out, and his Icha Make-Out Tactics Volume 2 fell on the ground. Haku, who was watching the fights after feeling sorry for Mizu, landed beside Kakashi, and picked up his book before reading a few lines, and flying backwards with a massive nosebleed. He awoke a few moments later, and went back to hide. Somewhere in grass country, a white-haired man who was scribbling in a notebook while giggling sneezed, and the screams of pervert was heard before he got beat down. After the woman left him, the pervert thought, Tsunade must be thinking about me again. Somewhere between Fire Country, a blonde-haired woman had just hit 3-7 on a slot machine when she sneezed, and the machine said tilt, making her lose. Back with Ino. Sarah said for some reason I feel that justice has been served somehow. Ino said you're just saying that because you and Dad can't wait for the makeup to come out. Sarah blushed as Aya and Ino both laughed. Sarah, deciding two can play that game, said so when are you and Mr. dreaming of making me a grandma, huh? I at least want to be young enough to play with my grandchildren. Now it was Ino's turn to blush before saying not until we are married. Aya said so, you and Whiskers are engaged now huh? In my day girls got rings, but it looks like you got tattoos. I noticed the other day that Naruto had the same one on his finger. Ino sighed and said yes, please keep it a secret for now. Aya squealed and said we have got to throw you a bachelorette party soon. I will get you a copy of the best marital book on the market today. Ichivicha lovers. The man who writes them is a pervert, but they are good books. Ino said I don't think I need it. Sarah said in a hush-hush voice, we have got to get her a few things from Torture and Interrogation for Woman magazine. Ino screams. On the way to wave. Naruto was guarding Tarzana, as Kakashi was fighting Zabuza, when a scream of "Oh" was heard, and stopped the battle. Naruto said sounds like Ino. Sakura, wanting to make a joke, said she does have the lung capacity for it. Naruto muttered you are not telling me anything new. Kakashi just sighed, and said young love. Zabuza just shrugged his shoulders, and they continued to fight. The two water dragons exploded, and when the water cleared Kakashi blocked the strike of Zabuza's sword with a kunai. Naruto had already decided to let things go like they first happened to a point just standing guard, and after using his heightened senses, he could tell when Haku got closer. Deciding the time was right, Naruto said so Kakashi-sensei. Did Zabuza pass the test like the Hokage said? Is he strong enough to become a leaf ninja? Kakashi, who already knew the Hokage had authorized it, decided to play along, and said yeah he has Naruto. To be on par with me he has to be good. Anyways, the options were his, and his assistant we got the report on. Naruto said his assistant is also here. I can detect her. Maybe we should end this test now, and let them have some time to think about joining with full immunity after the probation period. Naruto smiled, and then frowned when Sasuke saw Haku was a girl when they prepared her body for the funeral. Haku, who was in the trees, heard this, and at first was struck by how someone could detect her, and knew she was a female. Zabuza said, as he jumped away from Kakashi, what are you talking about Kakashi? Kakashi said, we were informed about you both before we took this mission, because you had been spotted in the area. The Hokage decided after he received information that you were framed, and could use a new start. Konoha does not have many Kenjutsu teachers, and only about 10 of us that I am aware of now suit in Jutsu. Also we know about the bloodline your assistant has. Konoha loves bloodlines so she would be welcomed, and not treated like Miss does. Zabuza said, nice trick, do you have any proof? Kakashi pulled out a scroll, and said here is a proposal from our Hokage. You know we will be in waves for a while, and you have time to consider it. I know you have to be tired of being on the run from hunters. As he threw the scroll at Zabuza. Haku appeared, and caught the scroll, and opened it to start reading. After finishing, Haku said it is, as he says, full amnesty if we join the Leaf after a 3-month probation period. Zabuza, who still was in a defensive position, said I will have to think about it. I will let you know my answer the next time we meet. It will either be with a handshake or the sharp end of my blade. And with that both Zabuza and Haku disappeared. Kakashi walked over to his group and caught something from Naruto. It was a pill. He looked at Naruto, and Naruto said, soldier pill, you are ready to collapse, so cover that damn eye. Kakashi looked sheepish as he covered his Sharingan and took the pill. He said well team, fun over, let's continue our mission. Keep defense formation for now. Team 10 was standing in front of the Hokage, and he said Team 10, your next mission is a C-rank mission. I want you to deliver this scroll to the Kazekage and Suna. You leave in an hour. Dismissed. Everyone in Team 10, but Ino started to leave, but Ino said, can I speak to you privately sir? Everyone looked at her, but the Hokage said sure, she will meet the rest of you at the gate. Dismissed. After everyone was gone the third said, what can I do for you Ino? Ino said I actually had 2 things I wanted to ask if possible sir. After he nodded to go ahead Ino said, the first is would it be possible to try and get Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya here before the Chunin exams? I know that what we are delivering are travel papers for the Suna's team. The third thought for a moment, and said only if you tell me why. Ino sighed, and said, that's when the snake bastard will start the Sand Sound war with us. He probably already killed the Kazekage now, and is impersonating him. The third thought for a moment, and said what is the other request? Not answering her first question. Ino said the other request is personal, but not for me. Naruto told you how Shizune told him about his family. What he did not tell you is that by that time Tsunade and Jiraiya had already died in battle, and she died moments later after her confession. He never got to really experience a family because of that. I know he is always thinking about others first, but I request if you can get them to tell them the truth before the war. I know this may cause trouble for you, and I am sorry, but I just wanted to request it, because Naruto is too stubborn to ask for himself. I guess it runs in the family. The third sighed, and said I will see what I can do. Do not mention anything until I tell you. Dismissed. Ino said, thank you Hokage-sama. I hope everything works out, and we all survive because I want you to be the one who performs our wedding when it comes time. The third chuckled, and said I would be glad to. Naruto has always been like a grandchild to me, and nothing would make me happier. Ino left, and the third sighed, before starting to write out 2 long letters that would probably get him killed. Ino joined her team at the main gates, and Shikamaru said, what was that all about? Ino said I had a personal request for the Hokage for my family. Mostly a mission request to find some people. Asuma dropped his cigarette, and said if it's who I think you are talking about, things are going to get exciting. Ino smiled, and said it's just 3 people I am excited to see again if you can find them. And she started purring from being so happy. Joji continued to eat his chips, and Shikamaru said Ino, you are too troublesome, but why have you started to sound like you're purring every now and then? You have been doing that a lot since you and Naruto suddenly got so close. Ino smiled, and said it's because I finally found someone who understands me like we have been together for a lifetime, and understand each other on a whole other level. Shikamaru said troublesome. As they continued on their way to Suna, Asuma decided to lighten the mood, and said you know every time I see Suna it reminds me of a litter box. Ino hissed, as she screamed. Naruto, who was sitting at the table at Tarzana house, heard a scream of sensei, and Sakura said to Naruto, I have one question for you. How can you stand to be with Ino when she can scream so loud to be heard all the way here? Naruto said she only is like that when someone upsets her. To me she's my little kitten. Kakashi, not missing a chance, said so are you her big strong fox? Sasuke smirked, and said he certainly has the look of one with those whiskers. Sakura looked at Naruto, as he put his hands on his face. She then said so Naruto, would you mind telling me why you and Ino have matching tattoos on your ring finger? Naruto looked at his hand, smiled, and said someday I will. Sakura said so how did you and Ino start, huh? Kakashi said I also have wondered about that. Naruto thought for a moment. Flashback. A 19-year-old Sasuke had already absorbed Orochimaru's soul into his own, and had led a surprise attack on Konoha. Him and Naruto had both summoned their respective bosses to fight each other. It was a stalemate with either getting the upper hand. Ino got close to their battle, and was locked in a fight with 2 sound ninja. Sasuke saw her, and decided it was time to gain the upper hand against Naruto. He suddenly used the Senijashu, hidden shadow snake hand, and sent a viper out of his sleeves at Ino who still had her back to them. Naruto saw this, and intercepted the snake right before it bit him. Sakura appeared beside Sasuke, and punched him in the chest with her super strength, and broke 6 of his ribs, and he went flying. Kabuto appeared, and caught him before ordering the retreat, as they both disappeared. Ino saw Naruto, as he fell beside her with the snake still attached to his arm. Sakura ran over, and started to treat him, and removed the poison from him. Ino after he was healed hugged him, and said thanks for saving me. And then kissed him with a quick kiss on the lips. Flashback end. Naruto smiled, and said I saved her from a snake, and got bit by it well outside the walls of our village. She kissed me for saving her life, and we got closer after that. Sakura had hearts in her eyes, and said how romantic. Sasuke said what a waste of time. If she could not save herself from a snake she deserved it. She should not leave the village if she could not take care of herself. There are no snakes in Konoha to get bit by. Naruto said, not all snakes have fangs, and there are snakes in Konoha. They just hide better. As he looked at Sasuke with narrowed eyes. Kakashi, not wanting to start a fight, said okay, I want you all to get rest. Tomorrow we will begin water walking training since you all know tree climbing. You can do it beside the bridge taking turns while we guard the client. Naruto, since you already know it you will teach the others while I stand guard. Team 7 finished eating, and went to bed. Time skip 3 days later Suna. Team 10 had made it to Suna, and had already delivered their scrolls. The Kazakage had set them up in a hotel for the night to rest before returning last night. Ino was currently walking through the village before they returned when she felt a spike of killer intent. She went to investigate, and saw Baki who was standing in front of Gare, Tamari, Kankuro. The Baki left, and Ino came out of hiding, and walked toward the group, and said sorry to interrupt, but I was wondering if you could tell me if you have any ramen stands or a decent restaurant that might have seafood here. The San team noticed Ino had a Konoha headband, and said no sorry we don't have ramen or seafood, because not enough people like ramen, and we are too far to get seafood before it goes bad. What is a Konoha ninja doing here? Ino sighed, and said my team and I were sent to deliver a scroll to the Kazakage. I think it's for the Chunin exams coming up soon. Gare said, what is your name? With a look that said I will kill you. Ino said you will find out at the exams raccoon. Oh before I forget I have a message for you. The fox can't wait to see you. The San team was scared for a moment, and Tamari said wait. How do you know we are going to be in the exams, and how do you know about it? Ino turned around and said simple, people talk about Gaara condition all over, because of his thirst for blood. Second, people in your village already talking about peace from their demon. And third, the raccoon should learn who his new master is. Besides, his new master might fix that weak seal if he behaves. And don't mention this to anyone, or you can forget about getting him to shut up and getting some sleep. It would be nice to have your brother back without having to worry about killing you when around him. Ask for Naruto when you arrive. And she was engulfed in a yellow light before disappearing. Temari said, what do you think? King Kuro said, I don't know. She knew all about us. It's not that big of a secret, but what was that about a fox? Gaara said, I don't know, but if this Naruto can do what she claims, then I want it. If not, I will kill him and her. If either of you mention this, I will kill both of you. Come, Kazekage wants to see us, he said with venom in his voice. Ino smiled and thought as she joined her team at the gates as they left. I hope you know what you are doing, Naruto. It would be nice to get the good Gaara who became Kazekage again. Hopefully you won't have to nearly kill each other this time. Naruto was standing on top of the water by the bridge watching Sakura and Sasuke practice water walking. They both finally got the standing part, but Sakura falls after about 3 minutes, and Sasuke falls after about 10. Naruto said, okay, you both have the standing part, but walking is still difficult. Let's call it a day, and try again tomorrow, since you both are almost out of chakra. Sasuke grew mad, and said, Dobe, tell me how you can already know this, and how come you have stood out here all day with us without leaving the water, and we both fall after a few minutes. Who is teaching you this, and why you? Naruto thought for a moment, and said the people who taught me how to do this died, and I won't tell you who they were out of respect. As for how I can stand out here is because I have done this a lot longer than either of you. As for why, I did something for them, and they gave me some help. Their help is why I passed to become a genin. I can't make regular bunchins because I have too much chakra. That is why I can make Kage Bunshin. Sasuke said, you're right, Dobe. So exactly how did you graduate? We all saw you fail. Naruto said, the truth is I was tricked into doing something by Mizuki. He then tried to kill me and Iruka, and I saved Iruka's life by defeating and capturing the traitor. An almost forgotten law said if a person saves the life of a ninja or captures a traitor to the village, he or she would become a ninja at the rank of their skills. Sasuke said, so you saved Iruka and captured Mizuki. I don't believe you. Naruto said, believe what you want. My being here is proof enough, as he walked up the bridge support with Sakura following him. Sasuke walked to the support beam and punched it, and thought, I will find out how you are really becoming strong and take it for myself. Before climbing up the beam himself. The next day when Team 7 arrived at the bridge, all the workers were standing at the end of the bridge scared, and Tsubasa and Haku were standing in front of them. Kakashi said, so what did you decide? Tsubasa said, I am going to accept your offer. At first I was going to decline, but when Gozu returned alone while I was fighting you, Gato killed him. I would have killed Gato then for killing my men, but he was too well protected then. I overheard him, and he plans to kill me, after I fight you today, and sell Haku to the slave rings. I don't want that to happen. The price for me joining your village is you help me kill him. Kakashi shook his head, and then shook hands with Tsubasa. Tizana told his men to start work, and stay behind the ninja when the fight starts. Naruto just remembered something, and said, shit, Kakashi, be back in a few. And then he disappeared, as flames surrounded him. Tsubasa whistled and said, nice trick, I think I could learn that. Kakashi said, I just wonder if I could learn it. Inari was running to save his mom, and the mercenary was swinging his sword down to kill Inari, when a flash of flames appeared between the sword and Inari, and Naruto already had his sword out blocking the strike. The merc were so surprised that the fact that a perfect Rasengan hit him in the stomach, and he was sent flying backwards did not register before he hit the tree. Naruto swung his sword in an overhead slash since it was still in a guard position, and decapitated the other merc. Naruto then checked the man who he hit with the Rasengan, and found him dead. Naruto then turned to Inari, and said, good job saving your mom, and distracting them for me. Remember to always protect what is precious. And then disappeared into flames again. Team 7 were on the bridge preparing to fight 200 merc that Gato brought. As they charged toward them, when in the middle of the bridge, a burst of flames appeared between Team 7 and the mercs. Everyone stopped at that for a moment, and Gato, when he saw the headband for Konoha, said, kill him also. He is just a kid. The merc waited to see what happened before attacking. Naruto walked back to Team 7, and noticed all the workers were gone, so he figured they were sent away before Gato got there, and said, as he looked at the odds, looks like we got 201 targets. One with the least kills buys dinner. Sakura walked up to Naruto, and said to Naruto, we're just genins. We have not been killed yet. Naruto said, where do you think I went? 2 mercs went after the Tizana family before I killed them. We're ninja, we kill, but we are not merely tools. Anyways, any takers? Sasuke, not wanting to be outdone again, said, you're on Adobe. Kakashi sighed before smiling, and said, I'm in. Sakura is guarding the client. Neither of you wants some action. Tsubasa said, I'm in. Haku sighed before saying, men, and there he goes. I'm in. I will show him I will be no one's slave. Naruto smirked and created 2 clones and said to Kakashi, "Want to see the completed version, the 4th never finished." Kakashi said, "You figured out how to do that." Naruto started forming a Rasengan, and 2 clones started helping before changing the shape to look like a shuriken, and said this is of Khan. Rasen shuriken. It took me a while to figure out how to do this without destroying my own body. Who's first? One merc said, "They talk big, let's get." He never finished, as a needle went in his heart killing him. Haku said, "That's one." And so the 2 groups charged. Naruto flamed to the middle of the group and hit a merc and flamed back to Sakura as the Rasen shuriken exploded and killed about 30 men for the blast and wind damage in the middle of the group. They were all cut to pieces by the wind element. Kakashi said that only counted as 1. As he stabbed one merc in the heart while he blocked a sword from another with a kunai in his other hand. Sasuke had yet to actually kill anyone. He tried using a Kaiten Phoenix Fireball, but only hit one slow merc in the shoulder. Haku had already formed her demonic eye smears around a group of 15 and was cutting them down with her. Tsubasa was mostly just decapitating anyone who got in the way of his head chopper blade. Naruto created 10 clones and charged into the fight, each carrying a copy of his sword. Ito could not believe what he was seeing. His men were being killed by these ninja. Deciding it was time to leave, he quickly ran to the edge of the bridge and climbed to his ship below. Once he made it, he drew his cane and cut a rope ladder with his sword that was inside his cane. He told the captain of the ship to leave now. The group of ninja had just finished killing the last of the mercs and saw Gato was gone. They looked around and heard a boat motor below the bridge start. They ran to the side of the bridge and saw the ship with Gato waving on it far below. Kakashi said, "Damn." As they saw his ship getting further away. Sasuke collapsed from chakra exhaustion from using too many. Naruto ran and jumped off the bridge while biting his thumb and going through some seal before shouting Kuchi's no jutsu, and suddenly a giant 7-tailed blue fox appeared under Naruto standing on top of the water, and the fox said, "What can I do for you, Naruto-sama?" Naruto pointed to Gato, who was standing on his boat scared, and said to Silga, "I want you to put your ultimate on him for me, so he will suffer before he dies. I could have you just killer eat him, but straight killing him is too good, and he is so vile I bet he would make you puke." The fox nodded and waved its tails, and then Gato started screaming and clawing at his own body before stabbing himself with his own sword. The fox then took Naruto back to the bridge, and he jumped on it, and the fox said, "Before I return, master, the others are wondering when the marriage between yourself and Lady Ino will be between the 2 lands. Both us and the cats are all ready to join lands in our world." Naruto looked sheepish, as everyone was looking at him, and said, "It will soon be, Silga, for now just prepare the lands. We both will be coming after the marriage here for a ceremony in Makai for our people there. Also please put the slugs and toads on the special guest list." Silga nodded and said, "Very well, Lord. Gembunta has been trying to find you for some time anyways, Lord, and contacted our kind after hearing about the new Lord. Remember, time in our world is different from yours, so we know you, and said once you sign it, he will grant you permission." And with that he disappeared. Sakura said to Naruto, "What was that all about, and what is this about a marriage between Ino and you? How come he acted like you were his king or something, and what do you mean going to Makai wherever that is?" Naruto sighed and said to Sakura, "I will explain it all to you, since Kakashi already knows when we get home, and talk to the Hokage in private. Do not mention anything about what happened here before then, especially to Sasuke. You will find out why later. I am tired from summoning flame several times, Rasengan, and Rasen Shuriken, as well as Kage Bunshin. I am going back to the house, and resting. I think we all could use it since Gatos is dead, and the wave country is free." And with that he left. The bridge was finished a few days later, and Sasuke was still in the dark about what happened after he passed out. Sakura still wanted to know, but would wait. Naruto had become good friends with Haku, and Kakashi got Tsubasa hooked on Icha Paradise. Sakura had also gotten friends with Haku. Sasuke became even more jealous since then, and learned that Naruto had won the contest with 71 kills. Tsubasa had 54, Kakashi had 53, and Haku had 20, and he only had 3. He had hurt more, but not killed. The trip back was not eventful. When they got back, Kakashi released Team 7 for the rest of the week to rest, as he took Sabusa and Haku to the Hokage. Naruto started to go see Ino, but Sakura stopped him and said, "I want to come with you so I can talk to Ino also." Naruto nodded, and Sasuke went home to brood and thought of killing his brother. When Naruto got to Ino's home, she was at the cash register and saw Naruto followed by Sakura and said, "Hey, how was your mission? Did things work out?" Naruto said, "Yeah, they worked out, and we saved Sabusa and Haku this time. Some stuff happened, and Sakura knows too much not to tell her the truth. I told her she would have to wait till we talk to the old man, since he wants to know who knows the truth." Ino looked sheepish and said, "I think he might be out of the hospital now." Naruto said, "What happened? Why is he in the hospital?" Ino smiled and said, "I kind of requested something before I went to Suna, and yes, I gave Garrett the message, but when we got back he had already done what I requested." Naruto said, "Ino, what did you request?" Ino said, "A lot happened. Your mom and grandparents are here, and they already know the whole truth from me, including the news about us. Your mom and grandma beat the shit out of the Hokage, and your grandpa proposed after he gave up restraining your grandma. Surprisingly, she accepted after he agreed to pay all of her debts and cut back on his pervertedness. Big news is the council had a field day after they found out about your ancestry. Danzo was executed for attempting to assassinate the Hokage in the hospital, and Root was disbanded. He surprisingly put you under the Hyuga protection, and you already had the 3 other clans backing you. Shino's family also put you under your protection, but that was after his dad discovered the truth about us from his bugs, and asked them for information. He holds no judgment against us, and said he would keep it a secret for only his clan to know, and they would prepare accordingly. You have already gotten a damn fan club also because your old burden was made public knowledge. Also, your stuff has been moved to your family homes, and you have been given access to your inheritance, including your family name. Sakura said, will someone please tell me what's going on? Ino said, I suppose I will, but let's go to the Hokage office. Some people are wanting to see Naruto. Mom, I'm leaving. And the 3 left after Sarah came in to relieve Ino. A few minutes later, and a lot less looks of hatred at Naruto, they made it to the Hokage office. The Admiral let them in after calling Naruto Kazama-sama. When they got there, Naruto smiled as he saw who was there. Shizune spit out the water she was drinking. Tsunade dropped the book in her hand, and Jiraiya was looking with pride. Kakashi was still there along with the 3rd. Naruto said, hello mom, Tsunade-bachan, Iro-sanin. It's good to see you all. A vein appeared on Tsunade's head, and she said, I am not that old. Shizune slowly walked to Naruto, gave him a hug, and said, I am so sorry, I was told you died. If I had known, I would have been there for you. Please forgive me. Naruto hugged her back, and for the first time in 2 lifetimes finally knew the love of being held by a mother, and all of his emotional walls he built up gave way, and he cried tears of joy. The Hokage said after a few minutes of him finally stopped crying, and being hugged by both of his grandparents, sorry for interrupting the moment, but I understand from Kakashi that Sakura knows too much, and is needing some answers, so I will say this once. This is S-class secret. Only a select few know the entire truth, and for them to tell you means they trust you. Do not show that trust was bad, Sakura. Understand? Sakura nodded, and Ino said, okay, what do you know so far so I can fill in the blanks? Sakura said, all I know is somehow Naruto summoned a fox that kept acting like Naruto was king, and said you were getting married, and something about a place called Makai. Ino nodded, and said, long story short. You know the Kyuubi was killed by Naruto and Yondaime. Sakura looked at Naruto in awe, and then Ino said, that is a lie. The truth is he could not kill the demon. Instead he had to seal it into Naruto the day he was born. Yodium died doing it, and the 3rd changed Naruto's name to keep him safe from his dad's enemies. He also told his family that Naruto died during the attack. Tsunade and Jiraiya have a love-hate relationship, and they were Yondaime parents in secret. Shizune over there is Naruto mom. Anyways, back to now. Naruto and I are both from almost 13 years in the future. A lot of stuff happens, and all of our friends and family die. Our home was destroyed. We were given a way to come back, but we would have to pay a price, which we both did. Sakura said, if you're from the future, can you tell me about myself? Ino sighed, and looked sad, and said you apprentice under the goddess Hokage Tsunade, and become the best medic under her. I also learned medicine, but I was more of an interrogator. You won't like this, but you were killed by the traitor Sasuke. Sakura said, why would you do that? Naruto said to try and master his bloodline. That has a level past the 3rd comma. Sasuke will do anything to get it. He betrays our village several times, and probably will do it again if we can't stop it. Sakura, you have to understand his brother screwed his head up so bad when he killed the rest of his family, there is no saving him. We tried everything. You offered him love, your virginity, you even offered to go with him, and betray your home for him, and he just ignored you. The requirement to get that level of his bloodline is you have to kill your best friend who you must emotionally care for. He first tried to kill me, but he kept saving my life. He then tried making false friends in a sound village, and killing them, and it still would not work. He then thought that maybe it had to be someone who loved him, and killed you when you were doing charity work at the hospital in Wave Country, when we started a new village there called Seedling. Sasuke never emotionally cared for anyone, so he was never able to get to the final level, before I was forced to kill him to save your daughter. Sakura smiled, and felt sad at the same time, and said, can you tell me who my daughter's dad was? Ino snickered, and said I could, but you won't believe me until you get older, and learn what a sweet yet eccentric guy he can be. Especially after he changes. Sakura huffed, and said, so what was the price you both paid? Ino said, I will tell you, and show you, but I want you to know we are still your friends, and still care for you, and everyone else. Okay. Sakura nodded, and Ino and Naruto shapeshifted into their true forms, and Naruto said the price was Kyuubi gave his life, and his lover Nibi who was in another dimension fatally wounded. I became the new Kyuubi, and the king of all demons, and Ino became the new Nibi, the two-tailed cat. We gave up our mortality because we will never grow. We can still die several different ways, but never of old age. To save our home and precious people, that was the price we paid. As for the marriage thing, before we came back I proposed, and she accepted. Seeing as we are both the head of the fox and cats, our marriage will mean the people in Makai will join as one kingdom. As they both changed back into their normal appearance, Sakura smiled and said, I understand why you did not want Sasuke to know about anything now. I will keep both of your secrets, and I still think of you both the same. Tsunade said, if that's true, I have two questions. The first is what will happen to any children you have, and my second question is any way to make us live forever. Naruto smiled and said, well, the thing is, I found this out. I may be the king of demons, but humans only call us demons because we are so strong and scary and our long lives. We are just lesser beings under the supreme lord of all life, whatever you want to call him. Think of me as the Hokage, and the other tailed demons are my council, and I am over a village. I can ask the supreme lord for certain people to come to my village, and if he agrees, that is what I plan to do. I plan on asking for Dad to be released from the Shinigami, and request my family and friends to be sent to my land when you leave this world. I can't take you while you live here, unfortunately. One thing I should tell you is that the people there look like normal people, but when summoned change their forms. That's how all the tailed beasts came here first. Humans summoned them wrong, and they could not go back, so they got pissed and attacked humans. Shizune said, so that means I will get to see Arashi again, and we can be a whole family. Naruto smiled and said, I hope so, but I don't want any of you to go out and try to die because I want you here for as long as possible. As for children, we can't have children here. They will be full-blooded demons and still appear human, but they will gain attributes like I as they get older, so they will have to live in Makai. The third sighed and said, what about if you had a human wife, Naruto? No offense to Ino, but I just need to know if he could have human children if he had a mortal wife. Ino said, what do you mean? Are you saying I am not good enough for him or that I can't marry him? Shizune said, I know what he's talking about. Arashi was asked the same question. Being the last heir of the founder of the village, Naruto falls into the Clan Resurrection Act. The council could not pressure Arashi into it much, since Tsunade was still young enough to have children, and her brother was alive until she was 18, but Naruto is the last who could produce a child, and possibly carry one of either bloodline. Ino stopped her ranting, and said, I understand, but I don't like it. What are his options? Because yes, he can produce a normal child who will have heightened senses, and a lot of chakra. The third said, since you are already getting married, you will have 2 years together before the council can do anything. After that, if you have not produced a child, he will have 1 year to find at least 3 wives to produce an heir who has 2 years to conceive. Adoption is not an option either. If after that 1 year he does not find 3 wives, the council can arrange for him to marry someone of their choosing. It will continue like that until he dies, unable to have children or an heir is born. It all starts the day he turns 14. Naruto walked over to Ino and held her and said, no matter what, Ino, I will always love you most and first. I don't like it either, but I guess this is what has to happen. Look at it this way. You will be my first. You may have to share me for the next 50 or so years, but after that we will have all of eternity to have the family we wanted. Ino laughed and said, well, at least you can get tips on how to please me forever this way. I think I get the better deal. You will have to put up with multiple women. Everyone laughed while Jiraiya scribbled down on his notebook before being sent sailing through the window. Naruto got a look in his eye, and Ino said, what? Naruto said, I am tired of feeling nacked. I want to get it again. As he looked at Tsunade, everyone looked at him confused, and she realized what he meant and said, why am I not surprised? Naruto said, you know what it means to me. Ino said, yeah. I remember what you did to try to steal it. You stuck a kunai with an exploding tag up his, but with a 5-second fuse. Tsunade said, what are you both talking about, and why are you looking at me like Naruto? Naruto said, I am not looking at you. I am looking at it around your neck. I won that cursed necklace when he earned the Rasengan in 1 week, and wore it until I was 25, and came back in time. I feel nacked without it. Oh, are you still afraid of blood? Because if you are, we need to get over that quick. Tsunade said, you are my grandson, but you don't tell me what to do. I am still strong enough to bend you over my knee, and spank you, brat. Naruto laughed, and said, man, it's good to have you back, granny. Tsunade eyebrow twitched, and Jiraiya walked back in, and said, as he handed a copy of Icha Icha Paradise Volume 15, this is to help you on your wedding night. Naruto looked at the title, and said, already read it. Tsunade said, so you are a pervert. Naruto said, I am not a pervert in the general terms. I only read the stupid books for certain reasons. The first was I was apprentice under him for 3 years while hiding from my life, and had to wind up writing 2 volumes just to get him to train me, because we did not know until I was 21 that we were related when my mom died in my arms confessing the truth. And how she only found out a few months before because of the surgery I had to have to save my life. Second, I read it because of a lack of education. I was a complete idiot when it came to anatomy. Sakura said, what do you mean by an idiot when it comes to anatomy? You made that pervert Buster sexy, no, and everything looked right to me. Naruto said, simple. If you ever removed the fog that covered certain areas, there were no nipples, and the bottom was blank. I perfected it years later. And my third reason for reading that stupid book is I used scenes from those books to help me infiltrate a couple of slave rings for missions. As for personal use, I would rather have the touch of a real woman than my imagination. Especially when you had a 10,000-year-old pervert in your body that got his jollies from making rude comments and sending perverted images of all of your female friends. That's one thing I am glad he's gone about. And with that sentence, you could feel the killer intent coming from both Sakura and Ino. Ino said, "You never mentioned that before, Naruto," as she started rolling up her sleeve like Sakura was. Naruto said, "I never wanted those images. Remember, I hate perverts and respect women." Sakura said, "So who was it the fox sent images to you of?" Ino said, "Yes, I want to know." Naruto said, "I will tell you the truth so you know the fox was sick and it was not me. Let's see, Hinata, Tamari, both of you, Brianna, Hana, Kurenai, Anko, Tenten, Princess Yuki Fujika's. Kakashi, he had quit, said, "Wait, Naruto, she's dead." Naruto said, "No, she's not. She's the actress Princess Fune. Anyway, who else? Oh yeah, Tsunami, Haku, and a few others I don't remember very well." Ino said, "Okay, I don't like it, but I know you are telling the truth. So, how close are the actual usages to the ones he sent?" Naruto said, "Well, I would say by the time he was done editing them, you all had racks like Granny." Tsunade said warningly, "What's that supposed to mean?" Naruto said, "When I returned from the 3-year trip with the pervert over there, you suffocated me in a hug and had to use medical and to keep me alive. I could not break free because of that monster strength." Shizune said, "Well, I would love to hear more, but we are in the Hokage office, and I would like to show Naruto his new home. You are both welcome to come." And so everyone left except the third, who cried at all the paperwork. Naruto ran back in and said, "Here's a tip so you can get out of this office and away from paperwork. Kage Bunshin." And then left. The third thought for a moment and smiled as he created 5 clones and got to work. When everyone arrived at his place where the Naruto family lived, he was in awe. He has seen the outside before when Tsunade and Shizune lived here, but never passed the front gate because Abnu always stopped him and got them. So now that he saw what was inside the walls where they lived, he was surprised. The beautiful garden with several varieties of flowers which were in full bloom, but looked like they could use some work trimming, were everywhere. Next was a stone walkway around the 2-story house, and a relaxation area on the left side with a gazebo, a personal hot spring with a dividing wall for privacy around it, and down the middle. The right side of the house had a mason workshop, and an indoor gym area with training dummies, a sparring ring, and weight sets. The back of the house was a complete sparring area. There were tall trees, a pond that fed, and was fed by the same pond, and that had an underground feed. A small desert, and a level open ground area with a training post. The group was led into the house, and showed a formal dining area that you see 200 in. A huge kitchen, an impressive library with several uncommon, and for the bloodline of wood and water users. Naruto smiled when he saw this, and remembered something that happened on Christmas, right before they came back. Flashback. Naruto and Ino had been seeing each other for about 3 months, and it was Christmas time. Konoha had already been destroyed, and they were in Suna preparing for a hit and run battle to try and stop any member of Akatsuki from surviving. So far they had stopped 3 members by sending a group specialized to take out 1 member. Naruto had been searching for Ino something for Christmas. Ino was currently at the little apartment he and she shared, watching over Sakura baby girl Blossom. The name her mother and father both thought would be something to remind her of both of them. Naruto came across an abandoned building near the edge of Suna and saw what looked like a dying little potted plant in the window. The house had been abandoned for about 2 weeks now after Garrett ordered most civilians to Snow Country under Princess protection. Since it was so hard to get to, and being isolated like it was, it still had not been attacked. Naruto went inside the building, checked the plant, and saw it was still alive. He smiled, and took out his canteen of water, and gave the plant a little. "And though I don't know anything about plants, maybe my healing ability will help you to look better. I guess you are the best I can get, Ino. I hope she likes you." And he started channeling a little chakra into it. The plant went from having brown dying leaves to the leaves started getting green again, and a single red rose appeared on it. Naruto smiled, and thought, maybe I got Granny Tsunade's granddad ability. Too bad no one knows how to use it now. If I did, who knows? And so he took the rose plant to Ino for Christmas. Flashback ends. Ino saw Naruto smiled, and said, "What made you smile looking in the library of all places?" Naruto just said, "I was remembering our last Christmas before coming back." Ino smiled, and said, "You never did tell me where you found such a healthy looking rose plant in the middle of sun during winter, no less, when almost all civilians had been evacuated to snow." Naruto said, "You can say I grew it just for you." Ino said, "That's not fair. You still won't tell me." And she pouted with her arms across her chest. They continued exploring the house, and found several bedrooms with a personal bath for every room. They finally found Naruto's room, and found all new beds, and dressers with no just what clothes he had. Shizune said, "Tomorrow we will go get you some new clothes. I will leave you two alone, and let you explore." And she left. Sakura left shortly after they got here when she got a signed copy of volume 15 from the author of Icha Icha Paradise, along with Kakashi getting one also. Tsunade and Jiraiya had stopped in the dining room and started to share some sake. Ino said, I have to go home for a little bit, but I am coming back to see you after you have a chance to think about everything and take a shower, since you are still dirty from the trip back. Naruto walked over and kissed her and said thank you for finally giving me my family. Ino smiled and said I would do anything to make you happy. I will see you in a little while. And she left. Naruto sighed and went to the bathroom to take a long shower and think. When Naruto got out of the shower, he dried off and got out a pair of frog boxers and a black sleeveless t-shirt and laid down on his bed and fell asleep. Ino sat beside Naruto panting and looked into his eyes and was engulfed in a passionate kiss and then laid beside each other and telling the other I love you before passing out. About an hour later, a knock was heard on the door and woke both up. Ino quickly went to the bathroom and Naruto grabbed a pair of shorts out of a drawer and unlocked the door before opening it. Sakura was there and said I came by looking for Ino and was told she's here. And walked into the bedroom and looked around. Naruto said she's in the bathroom right now. Sakura nodded and sat down on a chair beside a desk in the room. Naruto quickly started to pick up the clothes on the floor when Sakura was not looking, and when he picked up the teddy he saw Sakura shooting him a look that said, am I interrupting something? Naruto threw everything into his hamper and sat down on the edge of the bed. A few moments later, Ino came out walking awkwardly and said to Sakura, what are you doing here? As she sat on the bed. Sakura said I came to see you and asked if you would tell me about my future self and a few other things, but I think I came at a bad time if the clothes Naruto picked up were yours. Naruto got up and went to the bathroom. When he was gone, Ino sighed and said yeah, they were mine. I wanted him and that's what I got. Sakura sat beside Ino blushing and said so how was he and it? Ino said high stamina is a plus and it was great. Sakura leaned over while still blushing and said so how big? Ino blushed and said I say about a 10 to 12, big and strong. It hurt at first because it was mine and his first, but it was all worth it. Sakura smiled and said I'm envious. So who am I going to be married to and what else am I like in the future? Ino sighed and said I will tell you, because it may not happen since things can, and hopefully do change. You marry a man named Rock Lee. Right now his looks are scary, because he idolizes his sensei to the point of obsession. Because of you he slowly changes over time, and finally gets a different haircut, and his eyebrows trimmed to look normal. I won't tell you anything else, but this. Give up on Sasuke, and look for new people. Maybe you and Lee will hook up, maybe not, but I don't want to see my best friend die because of some stupid ass. It nearly killed the both of us. Sakura nodded, and said I won't make the same mistake this time. Can I ask you something that has bothered me ever since graduation day, and now that I hear you mention that? Ino nodded, and Sakura said, what was Naruto really like before you, and him toward me? Ino laughed a little, and said to answer that you should realize Naruto had a terrible life before because of this, and only had a real family for a moment before it was gone. He had a crush on you until the age of 15 or 16 because he did love you, but learned later that it was the love of a sister. He never knew what different types of love was like until then. He saved your life several times from death, and almost raped once when a mission went bad. The bastard that ran that slave ring got to meet Kyuubi's power firsthand. Naruto let his emotions out when 4 of the bastards had you held down with chains, and he used 4 tails of power, and slaughtered him and his men. When the Baka team arrived, most of us lost our lunch at the scene. Naruto does not talk about it, but what really changed him was when Temari was killed. She had been a sisterly kind of love to him, and after her death, Gira was the brother he never had. He realized that was the same for you. Sakura looked down and said, is our future really that bad? Ino said only if we fail to change it. Sakura smiled and said so how did you and Naruto really start? He told me that he saved you from a snake outside the walls of our village. Ino laughed and said actually that's a pretty good tale of how it happened. Sasuke attacked the village with an army, and Naruto by this time was our major powerhouse, and it was before we started Seedling. Sasuke used his hidden snake hands to send a viper at me to distract Naruto, so he could kill him. Naruto took the bite from me, and you broke 6 of Sasuke's ribs in one punch when he was distracted. I had already started to like him before that, but caused me to fall for him. It was not for several years, though before we got together, as a couple, but it never got past kissing. Naruto blamed himself for all our friends dying, and would not let anyone get too close. Sakura smiled and said so he really is your knight in shining armor. Whatever happened to Hinata and her mega crush? Naruto, who had come out during the tale of them falling for each other, said I was never an idiot when it came to her crush for me. I just valued my life to act on it back when we were younger. I had had words with Hish back then after Hinata started using me as a crutch for her emotional strength. He may seem like a bastard, but he really does care for Hinata. It's his counsel you have to watch out for. Hinata was a close friend, and will always be, but I don't see any romantic stuff between us because to me she is my little sister, which is very hard when she practically throws herself naked at you, but she is my little sis. Just like you are my older sister Sakura. Before I went on my 3-year training trip I finally sat down with her and discussed it, and after having her explain it, and Granny Tsunade pumping her full of caffeine and adrenaline to keep her from passing out, I then got her to realize the feeling she had for me was respect and idolism, not love. We never told anyone about it, and she started looking at her teammates and started to date. She died the day they were going to secretly get married, so the council would not find out. Shino was cruel to Kabuto for that. He sucked him dry of chakra, while having his bugs eat him from the inside out. Sakura said, "We have got some sadistic friends. I am glad I am not their enemy." Ino smiled and said, "So anything else you want to know?" Sakura said, "What are you planning on doing with Sasuke?" Naruto said, "If he follows the same path and flees, the village will kill him. He will be the cause of over half our friends dying. His brother and his organization the other half." Sakura nodded and said, "Well, I guess I will go now." Ino said, "I will go with you. I don't think I can walk straight, and we live close to each other. See you tomorrow, Naruto." And she kisses him before leaving. Naruto lay down on his bed and said, "What a day," before going back to sleep. Thanks for watching my video.